Huh. Seems I have a visitor in my graveyard. Hello, everyone. I am your wonderful host, Fontaman, and welcome to Armored Warfare. Boy, that's a shock. You might be wondering what I'm doing back here, and, well, I'm still sort of managing to articulate that myself. But it all hinges upon what I said back when I did the Balance 2.0 video. Do you remember all of that? You remember what I said?
I'm sorry, I've already lost my composure completely, but... Well, this is hilarious because this is absolutely terrible in terms of what Armored Warfare was beforehand. There's no rhyme or real reason for it other than just creating a situation that seems minorly difficult. And because I'm in a challenger, I get to be I am the mighty glacier. I am the thing that will be able to stand out and do the things that I just demonstrated to you. Which is what I always fucking wanted. It's what I wanted in World of Tanks, but not to this fucking extent. That's the thing. This is not Armored Warfare anymore, but I still kind of like it.
Yes, that. I realized that as stupid as this game is, I liked it. And it was actually kind of nice. Though, my problems with the rest of the game still stand. They are unchanged. The game is, well, quite frankly, broken and hopeless. However, the situation is that it's broken in exactly the way I want it to be. Now, come along with us with this, well, the Challenger 2, the most robust of all the tanks in the game. And, well, we'll walk and talk. Alright. Start a PvE because, well, that's about the only thing we can really do here. But, well, we seem to be alone here right at this moment. It won't take very long. But, well, now that that's running. My chief frustration with games like World of Tanks and War Thunder is that when I play the things that I want to play, they are always never what I want them to be. They are never the favored things. In War Thunder, I attempt to play bombers, and I just get shot out of the air. In World of Tanks, I attempt to play armored tanks, and I just get shot full of gold and die as soon as I leave cover. I hate them. I absolutely hate those parts of the game. They absolutely frustrate me beyond comprehension. And now we have Armored Warfare, which, as we load in, actually has exactly what I wanted in its gameplay. It's broken and a mess and is likely never to be fixed, but that's okay in some cases because it's broken in the way that I enjoyed it, or rather as close as we're going to get it. The only thing above this, or rather the only thing in detraction to this, is the fact that, well, with Obsidian gone, there is no hope. There is no real incentive or, incentive to believe that the game will become better, or I will have some sort of grand mission to crusade around in. It's just really the game now. Well, as it stood, as it was. My.com could add something, but, well, very likely they're probably not going to. Or it is my belief that they are not going to. And quite honestly, after an update, and looking at the next updates, well, it doesn't seem like they're really going to do anything at all aside from just continue adding more mess into this pile. So, as we take this stroll down here in our wonderful Challenger 2 with the 00 decals, I've taken Nicole in this one Fortress 00 for obvious reasons, as you will soon see as soon as we round this corner and shoot at this Bradley. Hello, Mr. Bradley. Thunderbolt took a nice big chunk out of him. But the only issue with this game is the fact that there is no hope. The problem is that the pieces, as they are, will now stand for basically ever. Oh, waited too long. Well. Oh well. Balance 2.0 made, well, the ERA block somewhat more robust to armor-piercing rounds. I question why, but okay. It's not like it really matters, since, no one is going to damage me. Oh, wait, someone did manage to damage me. Sorry. It's kind of like expecting it's not going to rain and then kind of getting drizzled on. Whoops. But as I was saying, the situation is that even if there is no hope that the chess pieces upon the board will be moved around, the way that they are standing, the way that they have fallen, is what I've been looking for. And I take enjoyment from playing this game, as it is. It's very, very strange. Even though this game is, once again, sitting with World of Tanks and War Thunder and, you know, forming disappointment. However, with the way that the game is now, I can sit atop this mighty fortress of British steel and click at things and watch them explode. I feel as though I am somewhat important, as this is a team game, and we are doing a very, 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 very rudimentary, how should we call this? Parody of teamwork as we drive around in the same area, shooting at the same things, attempting to keep the objectives somewhat secure from the hordes of bots, which, honestly, are somewhat aggressive, or rather, are aggressive now, as I showed you with the last video I did a couple of months ago. Well, I missed. They are aggressive, and that is somewhat refreshing, honestly, because look at these guys. They're running directly into the point. They act as players never do in these games. And that's kind of nice, because it means that they're going to ride out gallantly into my crosshairs, and die horribly like a bunch of morons. Fueling my power fantasies and my feeling of satisfaction. Which, honestly, with most of the games that I play right now, satisfaction is probably one of the last things that I get. Be it by me losing the fights as they were, or by people reminding me that I'm not that good through YouTube comments and whatnot. This is a game that I am good at, but people will say that it is not a very hard game. It takes a modicum amount of skill, I'd say. But the thing is, really, I have found a happy place here. The only problem is the happy place is a graveyard. In a rather strange and morose way. There's nothing here aside from dead things and the end of happiness. Just eternal disappointment or simply cold solace that things were over. Things were more exciting beforehand, while everyone was alive, but now that they're all dead, nothing's ever going to happen. It's just a bunch of tombstones and you know, well-treated grass. That's the strange feeling. This game is in the midst of failing. However, unlike all of the games that I have played, which show life, it is the most accommodating to me. And even though I am once again disappointed by the fact that it's not, you know, alive and well, the contrivances in this game, ow, oh well, got plenty more hit points. The contrivances in this game are, well, I kind of like them. So you see, honestly at this point, I see this game not as a realistic, even an attempt at realistic reproduction of modern tank warfare. This is, to me, an arcade game now. Where you play World of Tanks, or even more accurately, War Thunder, and you play you play those tanks, and they are incredibly fragile glass boxes that are shot full of holes and more or less instantly die. War Thunder has the instantly dying part, though World of Tanks gives you a bit of hit points. However, under both circumstances, taking fire is basically not an option under any circumstances because it's almost always guaranteed to penetrate. Because things like gold rounds, for example. Oh, hello AMX-10. Oh, look at the school of little light tanks and IFVs sprinting towards the point. Look at how hopeful they are, believing that they will outmatch the players. Oh, damn PL1 robust side skirts. Like I was saying, though, in those games, sitting out in the open and being shot repeatedly, which is the kind of tank that I want to drive, is impossible, because people think that this is not skill-based gameplay, and, well, they can bitch and whine and complain when something hardier than them is taking the field, even though it may or may not have detractors which limit it. No, they don't think this is a good idea. They are all they're all obsessed with speed, with the fast, with the twitch. And that is why we have situations like not necessarily armored warfare, I'll get to that, but with World of Tanks, where the lighter, faster vehicles are always going to be more favored than the slower, ponderous ones, because, oh, you're moving faster and you're doing more, so that means you must have more skill. Right. Same thing in War Thunder with the fighters over the bombers. Fighters, oh, you have all this maneuverability and all this romanticism. Obviously, you're doing the more skilled job. Obviously, this is the style of gameplay which should win. Obviously, this should be superior to all others because it's skill-based. Or rather, it is a type of skill which should be held above all others forever. Honestly, I think that's a load of bullshit. Oh, man, I hit a wreck. What a shame. Honestly, I think that is a load of absolute bullshit, and I have never agreed with it. Yes, it takes a bit of frantic skill. However, to me, is that fun? No. To me, is that relaxing? No. Am I going to play that for hours on end? If I force myself. Am I going to be happy? Maybe, depending on how the luck gives me. But what I am going to be is exhausted by the end of it. I am assured. Armored warfare is a strange case, because it is absolutely the opposite. The polar opposite. As you saw me there, casually talking to you as I drove around my gigantic death fortress with the other gigantic death fortresses in my platoon, as we sat there shooting the enemy that, well, is, for all practical concerns, unable to kill us. They can hurt us. That gives us a little bit of, well, impetus, or rather, you know, a bit of urgency to the whole matter of killing them faster. However, they're almost never going to kill us. This would seem less risk involved. However, well, yes, let me begin with that thought. This would seem like there's less risk involved with this. However, you know, you're still actually playing the game. And in a way, for my brain, or my brain in particular, and there are some people who still play this game, so obviously I am not alone. But in my brain in particular, honestly, I am really stressed out. Almost every day with all of this shit that I have to do. This is, as I said sometime before in one of my update videos, one of the most stressful times in my entire life, as I attempt to get myself together as a person and build not only a future, but my career in the now. And, you know, honestly, sometimes I want to play something that rewards me, that caters to my autism, and doesn't stress me the fuck out while I'm playing it. And of right now, 2 games, quite honestly, only do that for me. That is MechWarrior Living Legends, and, as I have seen now, Armored Warfare's PvE, or rather, Armored Warfare's entirety, as PvE is the only thing left. It's comforting. But the problem was, I couldn't necessarily champion it because, well, there really isn't much to do aside from make videos just of me sitting here talking to you, I suppose, rambling philosophically about some of this stuff. I've already probably lost like half of you. But the thing is, honestly, this is entertaining to me. And I like this. And I should like to keep this. I suppose this shows me that the hope for the future isn't necessarily everything in the world. Now, as you might have noticed, I've turned off the voice acting in the background, because I don't care. These sort of, I don't know, these phony senses, these, excuse me, phony senses of urgency by this role-playing and writing that they put into the game mean absolutely nothing. And one of the problems with this game, I suppose, which well, will persist whether I like it or not, is the fact that it is, well, repetitive. Now, what didn't I hit over there? Oh, whatever. But you've already, you know, if you played Armored Warfare, you know that the PvE missions are, well, entertaining, however, repetitive, because they are the same thing over and over again. There's a lot of them now, but, well, yeah, they are basically the same thing over and over again. Some of them have variations, but, well, whoop, son of a bitch. But some of them simply, well, they all come down to this. Me sitting on a hill over here in my tank and shooting at the other tanks repeatedly. That's about, well, the core of the gameplay. Oh, well, happy shit. I managed to overmatch the top armor. Ha ha! I'm effectively killing myself. However, now I can't hit him. Let's see if we can get the shoulders from here. No. You see, the AI, he does things for us. He moves out of the way. Well, he moves out of cover and attempts to aggress the enemy. See, he's a sportsman. I like him. Players don't play like him. Players sit as I am right now. Rather, honestly, even less sportsman than I am right now. Players will sit in the most aggravatingly, frustratingly hard-to-get positions and simply fight in the most dull and infuriating ways. People are assholes. Especially when they're playing something competitive because they want to win, because their satisfaction and their self-worth depends upon it. Bots? Well, bots just kind of drive around attacking people because it is their one and only purpose. These are gallant folk. Their honor effectively, if they could perceive honor, comes from fighting and dying in the field of battle. We are not the same as them. However, well, this relationship works out, don't you think? I want to drive around and relaxing, in a very relaxing sort of mood. Seems like everyone's stealing my kills. But like I was saying, I want to drive around in a relaxing sort of mood, and I want to blow things up, and these people want to die. Well, this seems like a pretty good match, doesn't it? You see, I am a competitive player in some respects, but not necessarily in the most direct sense that people seem to trumpet around. I am a competitive player when I am accommodated. My competitiveness comes from me being comfortable in the game itself, not necessarily hinging my enjoyment entirely on me being competitive or me being successful into being competitive. Which I come to this game. Unfortunately, at this moment, there is absolutely no way of being competitive aside from me trying to get the damage crown from these assholes. There we go. That is my competitiveness, attempting to outscore the enemy. Or rather, outscore my teammates. Which, they're also not the enemy here. In the other games, I'm fighting people for, well, basically my livelihood. In order to actually do anything of any importance, I need to, well, I need to just, like, cut off my teammates from getting anything done, because I want all of the progress, I want all of the things. I'm competing against them, and you see, I've said this already in some of my videos for War Thunder and World of Tanks. I'm competing against them, and in that regard, we are not a team at all. In this game, well, quite frankly, everything is so lavishly furnished and decadent that it doesn't necessarily really matter. I can regard my teammates, however, while I'm looking at the scoreboard, looking to top them on the scoreboard, that is about it. And I am somewhat limited in my ability to actually engage targets. For example, I have an 8.5-second reload. After I fire one shot, I am completely unable to actually do anything anything of value. So, there really isn't much for me to complain about. Aside from firing a little bit too slow because I'm trying to think at the same time. Oh well. There really isn't much to complain about aside from timing the reloads so that they always instantaneously fire into the soft hide of the enemy, thereby continuing a chain of actions which continues feeding me with points. And for this, it is a very slow process, and anything that could interrupt this process is either A, my own fault, or due to things I cannot control, which is I have 8.5 seconds worth of reload time after I fire a shot in order to cause damage in the first place. If by then my teammates have their shots reloaded and fire at the same target, killing it, there is nothing I could do in order to actually play the game. I had to expend my one shot in that time. There's really nothing else. So, I am not angry because I couldn't do anything in the first place. As you see here, I have, well, just sort of leisurely driving around, and I've gotten the top damage on my team. Will I keep it? I don't know. But I will, because it's about the only thing that I really have, even though the medals mean nothing. It's just the satisfaction of knowing that, yeah, I shot things really good. And that's about the, honestly, at the end of the day, really, with all the other games, that was it anyway. I mean, that's what we were doing over and over again, weren't we? That's what we were doing on these grinds, but it was the grinds. It was the grind fests. Of which the first one was this game, funnily enough. But it was the grind, it was the overall mission, it was the end, it was the glory, it was the satisfaction, it was the final resolution, the ultimate goal that we would grind through all of these games in the most efficient means possible. Make it through all of these vehicles and pay out these, well, pay out the credits and experience rewards in order to move up to the next vehicle. And then, at the end, we would have a vehicle of power and gameplay, which we enjoyed and made use of. And through that, this is of my own mind at this point, through that, I at least expected to take this vehicle into an arena where my victories would matter. My personal victories, my personal glory, my deeds would matter and would garner me renown. The only problem with Armored Warfare is that second bit isn't there. But in a sense, that second bit is mostly unreasonable and doesn't actually really sit in the other games either. I mean, there's the illusion, honestly, that it might be there by the end of the day. At some point, it might be there. They might add something like that where we can do that, and I could sit here and I could play my tanks really well and then be rewarded for it, or be recognized for it. However, War Thunder does not exist. World of Tanks, you have Clan Wars, which is not at all for personal achievement. Also, my commander has been knocked out. Well, damn, isn't that a meteor in a hailstorm? A man has actually damaged me, however, I think he was just shooting through my commander's cupola. Oh well. No big deal. I have plenty of hit points and a respawn kit. So, ha! But, like I've been saying, the only problem with Armored Warfare here is the fact that irrational glory, that everlasting, wonderful feeling of success in a video game, becoming more than success in a video game, is not here, because the game is dead. Or rather, for more purposes, not necessarily dead. They're still releasing updates, but it is stagnant. As I said, it is a graveyard. There are still worms active in a graveyard. I happen to be one of them right now. But, well, it is of no consequence to me, because me and everyone else who still plays this game are of the same fate, and, well, the developers are also with us, worms, in the graveyard. This isn't their creation at all. Obsidian made this, and they're no longer making it. They're only sustaining it. And, well, just like the worms to eat the dead and clear the graves out for the next poor fuckers that need to be buried. Oh, I happen to be out of ammo. Isn't that a shame? Well, hit 7 once, and then I'm back to shooting. I have 21,000 damage. I am very securely the most awesome and skilled person in this entire game. However, we have been left behind because I was too busy shooting damage. We won anyway, does not matter. However, I could have stood here all day in this mine and killed literally everyone that came across me. So, the constraints of this mission do not bother me. So, well, if there is not hope, I suppose the only thing there can be in return is enjoyment. I mean, they could surprise us, but I'm not relying on it anymore. I know, and I feel like I now know what that means as a person. To do something even though it would seem hopeless, but not really to care, because it is, for the moment, enjoyable. And that is what armored warfare is. And so, well, as you see here, well, I did everything right. I'm top of the scoreboard. I have the most damage. I have not necessarily the most spots, but the most kills, and the most XP by the end of the day. And I killed the most people, as said right there. See, that's crew killed. See, I'm a murderer. But I can sit here and play this repeatedly. However, this is the thing. There is only the grind, and the grind is no longer important. I'm at tier 10, I have the Challenger 2. It is quite a serene fortress, to be honest. Is why I enjoy this. Why I enjoy playing this much is the fact that the Challenger 2 is, in fact, damn near indestructible. And simply, well, facilitates my need to not really care as much while playing this game. You see, that's the thing. When I play a game like Titanfall 2, if I stop caring, I play like shit, and therefore I do not enjoy the game. Because I am not winning, and I will not do well if I don't care. Armored Warfare, well, you can drive the Challenger 2, or any of the British any of the tanks in the British line, to be honest, aside from the Chieftain, and you can just kind of sit there shooting at stuff, and, well, the kills come to you. You are doing, well, as much as you are really able to. Your team is going to win if you keep clicking at things. It's just that the individual, I suppose, results of these actions do not mean anything. Because it is just a mission. Aside from winning. Everyone likes to win. So, completing the mission in success is the most important option. As it would seem logical, right? But, however, that isn't terribly hard, so it isn't really that much of a concern. And most people would decry, oh, we'll just make it more difficult. I kind of like the way that it is right now. I kind of like having this the way that it is, where it is this easy. I would welcome insane mode. That's still in development apparently, but I'd welcome that. I failed to see how they could make this harder. Aside from making the AI complete bullshit, they can throw hordes and hordes of Bradleys and, you know, M8s at us. Which would be interesting. It'd be lively, however, that still wouldn't change the fact that they still can't necessarily do anything to me as an individual tank. Some things would be difficult, but largely, well, most of it wouldn't be. Yeah, damn normalization. Whatever. You see, that's the thing. That thing's made of tinfoil. That, honestly, the shell that I just fired at him should have just put a hole right through it. This is why I say, this is not a realistic game. I'm not looking at it anymore like it is one. These are all arbitrary things, and honestly, from the start, they were arbitrary things, but they were trying to say, oh, well, they have basis in reality. No longer do they, because Obsidian is no longer running the helm, and no longer will I judge them as so because of these facts. This is not a realistic game. It is an arcade game with tanks in it. I am a metal box that is in the shape of a challenger, but it is not actually a challenger. Sort of like, say, playing, you know, Panzerfront, though I have never played that game, though that is one of the, I think the only examples of a tank-based game on a console that is sort of not as hilariously arcadey as, say, like Battlezone or something like that, but having some detail, but still also being, you know, an arcade game. A slightly more respectable arcade game. The extreme end of being a card game, well, the extreme end of being an arcade game, I suppose, would be if we were all playing Shell-Shocked or something like that, and I could press 2 and I could fire a bunch of missiles at something. I'd enjoy that. However, it ain't realistic. However, well, honestly, when I started recording, I knew this was going to be a lot of philosophical rambling to me. Well, partially explaining and, I suppose, somewhat detailing my thoughts about, well, why I enjoy playing a dead, hopeless game. But I suppose, well, I hope I haven't lost you in this entire thing. It's kind of serene, to be honest. That's why I like it. It's calm. It's nice. I'm not stressed too much. And quite honestly, why I play video games is to, well, give myself some sort of hope in there, but that's not the only thing. I also play video games to relax, and in some ways, how should I put this? I suppose that is it, really. I play them to give myself some sort of hope in the struggles, in the hope that those struggles will be something rewarding, something I could strive to, something I could live for, something I could feel good about. Self-satisfaction. The hope for self-satisfaction, which is why World of Tanks frustrates me to no end. Because there is no self-satisfaction, because I can't win the damn game, because I can't play the things that I want. I want to win my way. I don't want to win the meta way. Unless my way happens to be the meta way, in which case, I do not care. That would seem a bit double standard of me, but I suppose, well, that looks very poorly on me for that, but there's really nothing I can do about it. But I played it for the hope of self-satisfaction, and I also play it that the relaxing feeling that I have when I have that self-satisfaction, when I win, when I am victorious. And then also, that's the other thing. Also, because I like watching things. I like staring at things. I like seeing action play out in front of me. I suppose this breeds my cinematographer side, the showman, the one making all these videos, all of this presentation, all of my other videos on my other channel and whatnot. I suppose that's where that comes from. And I suppose I meld that side together when I make videos with the other side because I'm making videos of my own exploits, though I valiantly and somewhat, self-deprecatingly thought that, no, I'm not going to think like that. I'm not that narcissistic. I am. Which is why I get out of bed in the morning, so I can do this stuff and feel good about it, because quite honestly, everyone has a reason to get out of bed in the fucking morning. And the people who say that life is only work and suffering are either about to commit suicide this very moment, or lying out their ass, and they just feel depressed and they want to vent. Because quite honestly, everyone has a goal that gets them out of bed in the morning. Everyone. Whether you choose to explain it or not, or make it known, is your own damn decision. Like, for me, my reason for getting out of bed in the morning right now is to continue working on my Let's Play channel, and also to stop us losing this fucking game in the meantime, but to continue working on my Let's Play channel in the hopes that I will garner enough fame to secure monetary success or monetary stability and be able to live off of that. And once I have that, well, the other side was, or I suppose phase 2 was to take this fame and to begin writing my books, and then for these books, I hope, upon hopes, for them to be good, so that by combination of my YouTube fame and my writing ability, I would be able to make them into motion pictures, particularly anime motion pictures, because honestly, no one makes good animated movies anymore. I want to make anime for adults. So, those would be my reasons for getting out of bed in the morning. Those are my dreams. Ridiculous as they are, conceited as they are. That is the nature of dreams. So, where does armored warfare fit into this? Well, it's, in a strange way, kind of assisting, but not. Or rather, sort of a band-aid, I suppose. Because having to sit and think about all of this stuff is very, very stressing. Having to sit here, not being able to really support myself on my own right now, but still being kind of supported by my friends, thank God for them, is very stressing. As, in addition, the stress of managing all of this stuff and trying to think, okay, what game should I play? Are people going to like this? Is this going to, well, is this going to make me popular, or is this going to ruin me as I, well, show myself as an asshole? Or rather, an idiot. All very stressing. Aside from other things, not to mention the books, which I am tirelessly working on in the background. My major issue with that one is I haven't decided which one I wanted to write first. I have lots of ideas, but it's sort of that strange feeling where, you know, you have lots of ideas and they go through lots and lots of different interpretations. You could take them either which way. I have lots of characters that I can put in one area that work very well, or as equal, or better in another sense. In another story, in another time, another place. However, if I feel like if I write them, they're stuck there. So, this puts a lot of pressure on me to choose which one to write first, which I have not actually managed yet. So, once again, another point of stress. And then, adding on top of that, when I actually do my recordings, I am sitting there, thinking, trying to carry a show, which, well, I'm somewhat failing in this regard, but, I'll make it through. What I am trying to do is trying to carry a show, trying to keep up energy, trying to keep up enthusiasm, trying to keep up a sort of flow to my speech and gameplay and my successes in time with actually trying to succeed at the video game, and that is incredibly fucking stressful. Just talking and thinking about talking while I am attempting to play the video game takes away from my ability to play the video game well. And I challenge anyone to give me commentary of any sort of, like, any sort of entertainment at all, and play a game incredibly well at the same time, and see how well you do. Very few people can actually do this. Is the train going to go right through that? Yes, it is. Ah! Quality. But once again, we don't care. So, as I was going on about, my life is very stressful. And this game, well, it makes it slightly less stressful.